Welcome back. The House passing a pair of bills aimed at cracking down on crime in Washington, D.C., with dozens of Democrats voting against each one. One bill, the D.C. Crimes Act, reduces the maximum statutory age of a youth offender from 24 to 18, meaning people in their late teens can be tried as adults if you're 18 or older. Crime rates in D.C. declining in the last 35 days since the president deployed the National Guard there. Homicide rates are now down 43% just in that time frame. Joining me now is Texas Congressman August Pfluger. He is the chairman of the House Republican Study Committee. Mr. Chairman, great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Maria, thanks for having me. Thanks for talking about this important issue as well. Yeah,
so how would you assess crime in D.C., and why is it that your Republican colleagues are not on board with this?
Well, look, first off, the facts are straight. I mean, you just mentioned how violent crime is down. We also know that since President Trump has acted, 2,800 arrests have been made, 260 weapons have been taken off the streets. D.C. is a safer place. So, I think anybody who's opposing this and opposing, more stringent law enforcement, whether it's trying people who do violent crimes, even if they are 17, or like we passed yesterday, making sure that now law enforcement here in D.C. can actually pursue those that are fleeing in moving cars, which they couldn't previously. These are just unbelievable that we have to actually say this out loud. But if you're opposing that, you really have to ask a question of why are you doing something that is not protecting innocent victims and not protecting the safety and security of people that are walking around D.C. I certainly support it and will continue to do so.
And of course, I'm with Paul Morrow this morning. Paul, what's most significant in your view when you look at these bills?
The raising of the age so that they can actually prosecute against children that are being weaponized by older perpetrators so that they don't get in trouble. They're using younger kids, younger brothers, cousins, kids from the neighborhood to do things like carjacking, federal crimes. Remember something. Donald Trump doesn't have the leverage over a lot of the cities across this country, but D.C. he does have more. And as we see our cities across the country turn into the nut job archipelago of out of control crime, Trump actually can influence things here. It's almost like a litmus test for what can be done, and it's working.
Well, Charlie Kirk's assassination has reignited the debate over Section 230 protections for social media companies. Congressman, I want to get your take on this because the videos of the shooting, the misinformation around it spread rapidly online after the murder of Charlie Kirk, a legend. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer has now invited the CEOs of the platforms Discord, Reddit, Twitch, and Steam. They'll testify October 8th. We're expecting for them to address the radicalization found online and the incitement to politically motivated violence. What do you want to see happen here?
Well, it's something that's certainly concerning, and Section 230 is a piece of it. Obviously, protecting free speech is very, very important, and Democrats, when they come out in favor of reforming 230, will say, yes, we absolutely need to, but be careful because they want to actually censor you, and they've done that before. Remember the disinformation board that they proposed and Mayorkas was trying to implement in DHS during Biden. So, yes, we don't want these really harmful, illicit-type images on platforms so that children can see them. And I think the conversation needs to happen. I'm concerned as well, and Section 230 also addresses terrorism and addresses the radicalization from groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda overseas that are using the platforms to do illicit things here in the United States or to stir up terrorist-type acts. So that's something that we've been looking at and will continue to do so.
Well, let me get your take on where we are in terms of funding the government. You've got 4 legislative days left until this deadline or face a government shutdown. Democrats are now unveiling their own stopgap spending proposal to counter you and your colleagues' clean continuing resolution. But the Democrats fund the government through October 31st, and it includes an extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies, provisions on Medicaid, and the $490 million for public broadcasting. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer rallying against Republicans again. He claims that Republicans don't care about preventing a massive spike in health care costs for millions of Americans. House Speaker Mike Johnson are warning the Democrats they'll lose this if the shutdown centers around health care. And we're expecting this House vote tomorrow morning. When do you expect the House vote? And give us the nuts and bolts of this debate.
Well, I do expect it tomorrow. I think it will be a clean CR. Chuck Schumer is not going to be the one offering the proposal. It's going to be Mike Johnson, Leader Thune, and President Trump. And what we did in Reconciliation 1 to cut the cost of fraudulent behavior that Democrats were so ready to put into our government spending is really important. So I think as we get to a 6-week clean CR, we have time to actually come back with some of the appropriations bills and continue to cut wasteful spending. That's the important thing. That we're going to be successful with it. So I don't see Chuck Schumer having any sort of say in this when it comes to the actual health care. And let's remember, on those ACA subsidies, those were COVID-era subsidies that he put in place, in the framework of an emergency. They should sunset. The Democrats put a sunset date in there for a reason, because they knew that they wouldn't last forever. So it was they're the ones that really started this timeline. What we need to do is reduce spending and be fiscally responsible, and that's what the RSC has done. The Republican Study Committee has championed that for a long time.
Yeah, I spoke with one of your colleagues yesterday about this, and I was wondering why it is that all of you are always saying you want to get back to pre-COVID spending, and yet the Democrats now want all those emergency spending to come back. Here's what one of your colleagues, Congressman Clyde, said to me yesterday. Watch this.
I think what he's talking about are the COVID-era subsidies for Obamacare. Not one Republican has ever voted for it. It's a problem. We're not in COVID anymore. So I think this is an issue of what's not in the bill. This is a clean funding or spending freeze, rather, for the next 2 months so that we can get the appropriations process completed.
Congressman, what do you think will happen here? Do you think you'll be forced to put some of those subsidies back in, or will you continue this effort to get back to pre-COVID spending?
Well, my colleague from Georgia, Mr. Clyde, is absolutely right. And of course, Democrats are going to try to use this as leverage. But here's the dirty little secret on this: is that Democrats want big government. Democrats want to hire more government employees, as Donald Trump has identified, that maybe weren't doing the things that they were supposed to be doing. So I think that they stand to lose a lot more in this discussion. We want to get back to a responsible, limited government size. We want to get back to a spending regime that actually respects all of our constituents and the American taxpayer. So these ACA subsidies, in my opinion, they need to sunset, and Mr. Clyde is absolutely right. Mike Johnson has also been very strong on a clean CR, get the appropriations process, and let's get back to a healthy way of doing business here in D.C.
All right. We'll be watching your work as always, Congressman. Good to see you. Thank you. Congressman August Pfluger on Capitol Hill. We'll be right back. Stay with us.